What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Top Figure podcast. This is episode number 41.
Yep.
Yeah, and today we have my good friend here, Lewis. We went to high school together, but Lewis has actually done something really incredible, right? He went to an Ivy League school, and he also got his dream job at Facebook while starting his own company on the side. So what we're going to talk about today is how he was able to get into an Ivy League school, how he was able to get his dream job and still pursue his entrepreneurship journey, right? In this podcast, we talk about entrepreneurship and we talk about how you can do it at any level. And he's really going to talk about today how he did it. You know, we went to high school together. He's been crushing it. He also worked at eBay. He also worked at Facebook as an intern. So all this happened while he still had his entrepreneurship spirit. So Lewis, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you, my brother.
Yo, what's up, Wisdom? What's up, Sal? Thank you for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it, man. I'm excited to get talking on all the experiences that I had and share it with all the viewers and the listeners on the podcast.
Awesome. Perfect. So let's get right into it, right? We started at high school. Let's get into back into high school, right? We both went to the same high school together, and we're actually in the same.
Go Highlanders.
Yeah. Shout out to Columbia Heights. But in high school is when you actually started pursuing, taking high school kind of serious, right? Because you got into an Ivy League school, which is very hard. What's the acceptance rate at Princeton again? It's very low.
I think it probably is 3 to 4% now, maybe lower.
It's
I don't know what it is now.
It's a very crazy low number. And the high school we went to, we didn't go to a private school. It wasn't nothing crazy. It was a normal high school, and for you to be able to go from there and making it to Princeton, it was a big deal. So let's get into that transition, for the people that are listening that are about to start applying for colleges, right? That are about to, get their college journey going. And a lot of them want to get into Harvard, Princeton, Yale, right? So let's break that whole journey down. How would something like that work? Let's start there.
Yeah. So one key thing along my journey to go to college is I had a lot of help. That's probably been one of the distinctions in my journey that's helped me succeed in not just college, but anything that I put my mind into. I find help, right? When I was, I think 15, sophomore in high school, I started thinking about how can I get to the next level? For me, I always shoot for the stars, I always want the best. And I wanted to figure out how to get to an Ivy League because remember back when we went to high school, I don't think anyone, we hadn't heard of anyone go to a big school.
No.
And especially I remember our high school wasn't horrible,
Yeah.
We went to Columbia Heights, probably lower tier, but not the worst. Not, it was a pretty safe school. We had good teachers, some AP classes. So I had to figure out, what I could get outside of that. College Possible, you guys remember that? College Possible is a program here in Minnesota. It helps kids from low-income backgrounds go into college. Generally first-generation college students. And I met one of my key mentors there. Her name is Anna Wilson. Shout out Anna if she's watching this. She basically gave me the confidence to go for this goal because in my mind at that point, I was the only one that knew. And I was the only one that was working towards it. I didn't have any champions on my side. So she really let me understand that it was possible. And I applied to a program that's called LITA. Shout out LITA too. Which took me to Princeton for 8 weeks when I was a junior. And it was basically like an Ivy League boot camp. It helped you apply to the best schools. It was 60 kids across the nation for one summer. And out of those 60 kids, I believe more than half got into Ivy Leagues.
Wow. Whoa. Hold on. You just dropped a big gem right there. Okay. So number one, if they're in high school right now, they got to try to apply to that LITA, right?
Yeah, LITA is available for students who are in public schools.
Okay.
They generally accept first-generation low-income students into the program. I believe it's up to 100 per summer now. It's LEDA, LITA. And yeah, it's basically a boot camp that tries to get the most promising students from disadvantaged backgrounds to apply to these schools. So that's where I met some of my best friends to this day in that program. We still talk a lot. I actually live with one in Miami. We're roommates. But that program really gave me the insider knowledge to these schools. It let me understand what the process is like, because it's not just a random like shot in the dark. It's a whole process, different steps you have to take, different perceptions that you have to present. So before I got in there, I just had a dream, right? And I knew I had to get good grades, which like that was the easy part. Let's say, getting good grades was easy, but that's not going to get you into a good school. You need to have certain aspects of your application that define you as a student who's prepared to succeed in that environment.
And you have to be disciplined. Right.
Yep.
That's huge.
We
shout out to these discipline over motivation. Because the reason why we talk about discipline so much is too often, right, we look at continuous motivation, right? Motivation is going to last for only so long, maybe 1 hour, 2 hour max. But discipline is really what makes you keep going every single day doing the same thing. So when I was talking to you and you were actually fast forward a little bit, when you were actually in school, you were studying, if I'm correct, you were studying from like what, 1 p.m. to like 10 p.m. every day?
It was more than that, man.
Really?
I had my typical schedule. I'd wake up for class around like 9 because I had class at 10. That's usually my earliest class.
So that's crazy discipline. Like, let that, guys, I want you guys to really let this sink in. You were waking up from 9 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. every single day of just
working. Man. Just school. Like, my schedule was I'd go to class from like 10 to 12, eat, and then from like 12, let's say I had a break a little bit. Usually I had like 2 more classes, and I would end around like 3 or 2, depending what day it was. Sometimes I had later classes, 5. And then in between there, you'd have to study. You have to be doing any homework that you can. And then once you hit like in the evening, you'd go to the library. You'd stay there until dark, until basically you convince yourself that you've done enough for the day, man. And it was every single day, Monday, Saturdays, same thing. Sundays, there's no days off in terms of school. And that's just school. That's not accounting for anything. Yeah, that's not like, working on your resume, trying to network to get internships, trying to do like side projects so that you can put that on your resume so that you can land a good internship. So doesn't include like clubs as well. Like, you got to do all these little clubs to put on your resume as well. And then, it's also college, so you have to have a good time, right? You have to find space for your friends. Like, you're going to go crazy if all you do is just, like, work, and you don't socialize. And also, those relationships are very important, long-term, short-term as well. But it's all done within that short time span in a day, and you pretty much get home, you're tired, and you go to bed and you start over.
So let's talk about like the main thing, which is the relationships that you mentioned. Who were so you mentioned one person in high school. Like, what were the people that really you think that when you network with that got you to where you're at today? Because that's one of the most important things. Networking is your network is your net worth, right? Who would you say is like those people that really helped you get to that next level?
Yeah, so
from high school.
From high school? Yeah. From high school? I'd say from high school, it was like I mentioned, my mentor in College Possible. There were some teachers that would push me, but I'd say like back in the day, like in terms of students that went there, like I'd say my sister. I had competition with my sister. My sister was a straight A student, and I always wanted to, beat her and do better than her. So that was my motivation too. I'd say like, but it was hard in high school because we didn't really have examples.
Yeah.
And at that time, like, you and I were kind of friends, but I think we still weren't like, neither of us really had something that we were committed like full. I'd say maybe not that we weren't committed, but we also were high schoolers. I guess we didn't really know what was coming. I'd say in college though it was different. People who motivated me, definitely like friends. I remember one of my good friends, E-Man, was also an entrepreneur, also works at McKinsey, one of the best companies in the world. He has 2 older brothers, and they both went to MIT. So
he had the example.
Right. So he knew what was going on. And I remember we got to college, and I was like, yo, like, we got to get good grades. We got to get good grades, like college. And then he was kind of with it, But then I realized that he was working on getting internships right from the start. He was trying to secure an internships from the like first day we landed at Princeton. And I didn't know that. I didn't really know what internships were, like what it meant. But he knew because his older brothers had already gone through the process. I think they worked at like Boeing, Facebook, top companies, you know, that they interned at. So the competition then turned to like not who could get the best grades, but who could land the best internship, right? And this is where discipline and motivation come in, because when I was a freshman, he got an internship at Pinterest right off his first freshman year, right?
That's big, yeah.
Right. I didn't get a top tier internship freshman year.
Okay. But did you have an internship freshman year?
I had an internship freshman year, but it was at a nonprofit. It was actually a great experience. We can go into that a little bit more. I went to Ecuador, so it helped me build on my dream that like now I'm working on, but it wasn't, let's say, like a big
achievement.
Big brand like that I really wanted. So I definitely felt down at that point after freshman year. I was like, man, like, you know, and it wasn't just him who got a top internship, because there's all these other kids who like go to Goldman Sachs, who go to Facebook as a freshman, who go, it's a very few select people, but like, you know how it goes nowadays. Like if someone does something, you see it on social media, you see it on LinkedIn, you see it everywhere. So you're aware of what's going on, right? The flex, right? So I knew though that, you know, I wasn't just gonna be like, all right, I screw it. Like I don't have an internship for the summer. I'm just going to like chill out, go get a job, go work. Now I had to get something on my resume, something important that like built the narrative that I was presenting. Okay. So I was able to get some experience in entrepreneurship, helping out entrepreneurs back in my home country. I was able to get experience in like marketing, different skills you can say that I could present later that year. But then that next year, sophomore year, that's when I landed my internship at Facebook. That's what like changed immediately after getting that spot. But I didn't get it right away. So like my friend really there, to answer your question, going back full circle, he's the one that pushed me. Okay. And he didn't say like, yo, like you need to like, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that.
It was more indirect.
It was a bit of ego, because I was like, man, like, you know, I can't let him flex on me like that. Like I got to get my stuff in check too.
Yeah. So you're pretty competitive. That's one thing I noticed. Like when you're talking, you're saying like these people really just inspired you, your sister, your friend, like competition is important to you. How important is that to really just have like a person that really can look up to push and motivate you? That's really a big part of your life, would you say? Like
I mean, for sure. I think like you guys are definitely one example of that as well, because we're in similar paths but also different. Like you guys have been full-time entrepreneurs. I don't know how many years now. How many years is it?
We never
3 years now, I think.
Almost 4 years now.
Never with jobs.
Never. Huh? We had jobs to starting off, but then we would always just like realize like, hey, let's go fully into what we believe in. And
but the thing is though, I don't advise that to everybody.
Here's
why.
It's not for everybody,
right? Here's why. And I'm kind of tired of the internet per saying like downplaying 9 to 5 and all these things. That's why we really wanted you on this episode to talk about the importance of having a job to fuel your business. You still have your business right now that's thriving, that's crushing it, right? There's people on the internet now that's just downplaying everybody that has 9 to 5. Knowing the average entrepreneur makes $30,000 a year. So that's a lot of them on the internet are lying, right? A lot of them are lying, and they're trying to flex on people with jobs, when in actuality your job is actually what fuels your business until the moment you're making 3 times what your job is, then you could quit, right?
Plus another big thing, and I know you can relate to this, is building value is one of the most undervalued and slept on things people think of. So when you are in a job, you are creating value for a business, right? If you don't have that skill set of building value for either a mentor or another company, you can't do that for your own journey or your own self, you know?
Exactly.
So people think that you need to just like, you know, just quit a job, go do something without having any sort of discipline. Without having any sort of discipline.
There's definitely a trade-off and a middle ground, and a spectrum which you lie on. And I agree partially, but also disagree, because one thing is when you have a job, like your energy gets sucked up, and your day gets sucked up, because jobs happen 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, and that's at least like a third of your day, maybe 2/3 of your day. Who knows what time we're going to bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I've struggled with is being able to consistently work on this, like on the side, right? Because there's days that, you know, I work, then I go to the gym or play some soccer.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I get done, it's like 6, maybe 7. Got to eat, all that stuff. Got to handle like logistical, you know, text my mom, do little things. And it's like 7, 6 o'clock. And I'm like, damn, now I had to put in like another 3 hours, at least 4 hours to get this thing going. And it's annoying because then the job forces it to become a second priority. Your job becomes your first priority, right?
That's true, yeah.
So you aren't able to fully dedicate it until like, you know, that becomes your first priority. So I understand though the proposition of like, I'm obviously in a different situation though as well as the next guy, right? Like,
exactly.
You aren't like, if you like have a job and you don't have any sort of skill set in the business world, like you probably shouldn't quit your job.
You should definitely not quit your job.
You probably shouldn't quit your job if you've never built a website, if you've never managed a social media account, if you've never run ads, like.
And to add on to that, right? Because here's the issue, right? Unless like you have lots of money saved, then you can go all in. But the issue is there's a lot of people that are starting with just like $500 and then they expect money to come in right away.
Right.
With a lot of businesses, you're not gonna make money like that your first couple of months. It's, you know, you're gonna lose money. You gotta invest money. You gotta
learning.
A lot of things happen, you know, and that's why I always say at least have a part-time job that's bringing in income to where you can fuel your business
or a side hustle, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. But you need a guaranteed income at the starting stage because it's an infant, right? It's a baby. The beginning, it's going to take a lot of money, a lot of attention to grow it, but eventually it's going to be at a place where it's going to sustain itself, right? So let's not get too off track. Let's get back into the actual. All right. So pretty much from high school, LITA was the
culminating factor.
That was a big factor. All right, guys. If you're listening to this, go apply to LITA. Anyone can apply, right?
You have to be
underprivileged
in a public school.
Okay,
that's number one.
That's number
then they look at your income, so you have to be low income, pretty much. Like if you are coming from a middle class family, like you can't apply to LITA. And that's the two things that they really look at: your income, and then if you're at public school, because it's really meant to
help
get disadvantaged students. Because at elite schools, like I'm sure you guys have heard the fact that like the 1%, you know, like that's where they send their kids, and it's true. Like I think at least like half or 30 to 50% of that school comes from like the top 1 to 10% of the wealthiest Americans, and maybe even more than 30 to 50. But I know the 1% represents a very don't quote me on those numbers, but it represents a significant amount of the population. So LITA is on a mission to help change that narrative,
bridge
and
that
get
gap.
Kids who on paper, like for me, you know, I had good grades. My ACT was a little whack. So I'd say like they took a chance in that aspect. And a lot of, because ACT, standardized tests, like we can go on a whole tangent on that, but they're rigged, right? They're rigged for certain people.
ACT, SAT.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of kids just like can't get into that door because there's certain things that as you're, you know, going through high school, you don't know what to do. You don't know to take like all these AP classes. You don't know that you have to work on your resume. You don't know that, you know, you have to start writing these essays. These, like I wrote, man, when I was applying to college, I wrote like 20 essays applying to 10 schools. It was a lot of writing. So,
and wealthy parents, don't they just hire like someone specifically for that?
Tutors.
Like tutors or like a consultant.
Tutors for ACT, consultants for your essays, like peer reviewers to get that stuff looking good for you. So if you don't have those resources, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to get into these schools.
That's true. Yeah, no,
That's
it's crazy how it's stacked against you, but it's like really like use that as a chip on your shoulder to really just, you know, and you're a prime example of really just coming from rags to you really just did it. You went through the entire thing. And it's really possible. Super important.
Okay, so after they applied to LITA, okay, now let's move on. So you're in college now. Like, what are you seeing at this Ivy school? Because it's not like the U of M or like your regular school. So like, what's the whole experience
different?
Like?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna talk about something very interesting. There's a show that came out on Netflix. We're gonna get into that. But like, when you're in,
Man, one of the things that I remember very precisely that was different when I got to college is Canada Goose. You guys remember? You guys know Canada Goose by now. So back when I got into college, I never had heard of Canada Goose.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that, that was 2016, 2015. Like, it was low key.
Mm-hmm.
I get to the school, and all these kids are walking around with this black jacket and that red patch on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what's going on here? And then I started like, that day we had, what was that? Yik yak. We had yik yak, so people would be like talking about it, like making fun of it, right? And you learn that culture. And basically what it is, it's a rich culture. Those jackets cost like $1,000, a couple hundred, right? To me at that point, I wasn't working. I just got into college. I was working like before that, but obviously I wasn't about to spend that much money on a jacket. And that's what you hit first when you get in these type of environments, the rich. Like how much money there is in these schools. And it's not just like, a guy with a nice car, right? No, it's like people who've had generational wealth for decades, who were born into this lifestyle, and they literally cannot understand where you're coming from or what it feels like to be poor, right?
Wow, that's messed
up.
It's
it's
not like gap.
It's not like you get to these and like these kids are like, oh, like fuck you, like I'm sorry if I don't.
No, you
curse. They're like, I don't want to hang out with you because you're poor, It's just there's no common ground for you guys to interact, so it's very difficult off the bat. Like, one of the things that was weird was the social environment, because on top of that, they had brothers, cousins, or other people who had gone into that school. So they knew like kind of what to expect at Princeton and like all the different social paths that you could take. So I remember just the wealth being in my face, and I didn't know like how to deal with that. So one of the things that I was really glad, or I'm really glad about, is like my friend group, because as I told you, I went into this program and a bunch of us got into Princeton. So I had a core friend group of like 4 to 5 people. So like, yeah, we could relate, and we kind of like held each other like sane. But one of the things that happens at these schools though is a lot of poor kids don't graduate in 4 years. They take longer to graduate. In the worst case, they drop out.
Really?
And it's because like they get to this environment and then they feel siloed. Like they feel like alone. They can't understand it. And then on top of that, all this work is just like the most difficult work that you've ever done. All the schoolwork is difficult. So you're taking L's on the schoolwork, and then you're taking L's in your social life. And then
people looking at you weird.
You're not with your family, so like you're taking L's there. So it can come down and really crush a lot of people. Yeah, and a lot of people got crushed. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, that had to take 1 year, 2 years off because they either had something going on in the family, that they can't just throw money away to fix it. They had to go back and help.
Dang, that's crazy.
And yeah, like if you're able to make it out in 4 years, like that, you just had to be on it and mentally
and
fit.
just like
as a poor kid, right? As a poor kid, you had to be really, really, really on it, because if you slipped up, like there was just 5 other kids waiting for your spot. Waiting for your spot.
So it's really like ultimate pressure at all times. Like, damn, I didn't even know it was this serious, because you mentioned that's actually crazy. Like, your social life's getting attacked. You're getting attacked by school. You're not with your family. These people are looking at you like, you're not wearing Canada Goose, like you don't got money, because it's so normalized. And it's not like their fault, because all they seen, they grew up in grew up in private schools. All their friends, their parents are millionaires, and everybody's wealthy, and it was a big culture shock for you, right?
Yeah.
So okay, that happens, and you how did you break through? Like, how did you like make it through? That seems like a lot of pressure.
So part of it, I think, is like internal, and part of it is external. So internal, I had to basically shut out all the noise and be with my community, with my friends, and that's kind of what we did. We would hang out with each other. We would try to pull up to the parties with each other. We would be in that core group and keep ourselves safe and motivated. However, like, you can only convince yourself so far. So it was really once I got an internship at Facebook that then I was like, all right, no one can tell me anything, because like you're not interning at Facebook, so get out of my face if you have like this or not. If you're not, like that, there's some external validation that comes with it. So I'd say like once that happened sophomore year, like everything else just became easier because my confidence grew 10x after that. Because all like when you get into these schools, your biggest fear is messing it up.
Yeah.
So if you get to school and you're like, I got this far, and if I mess up, like it's all worthless because you know I fought so hard just to get here. But the thing is, like, once you get there, everyone else is a Princeton student, everyone else is an Ivy League student. So you actually can't say you're average. Amongst some of the best and brightest minds at your age. So you really need some sort of external validation, unless you're, I don't know, some very like.
And a lot of them were just wealthy, right? So let's talk about, like, okay, so pretty much there's a lot of people that got into the school that probably didn't deserve it, right? They got in because their parents were wealthy. So, like, did you see any of that stuff going on? Like, how was it? Because I seen something about Netflix. It was like called, like, I think it was called like the side door, the back door.
Yeah, the college scandal.
Yeah, there's a lot
with all the rich kids getting in. I honestly, like, you know, you want to believe that everyone got there on their own merit because for the most part, your experiences with other students are like, you can tell that these kids are bright. Like, no one in that school, like, is maybe a small percent is unaware or like just isn't smart, right? But the majority of kids that you interact with in class, that you interact with like at dinner, that you interact with in the dorms, like, there are bright individuals who can keep like very complex conversations going and can always tell you something that you don't know. So like for the most part, you're unaware of like, okay, like who got in, and you actually don't really know who's who unless you do some digging, right? Unless you go onto social media, start seeing some things. Like everyone presents itself as like just your average like Princeton student, right? So I can't say that like, oh, I knew like these guys like got in, because no one's gonna tell you that, you know. But I'd say like there were definitely a group of like wealthy students who just didn't excel in school, but still ended up at very good jobs, or just like they didn't like a lot of partying, a lot of, you know. But
their parents probably had the connection.
You could see that like very, very early on, like freshman year, even if they didn't get these top jobs, they would be like interning at some like little bank or like some, I don't know, some firm that like their dad's friend or something owned, or some sort of connection there, right? Or doing it I've also seen international. They would go international and work at like a corporate branch in an international office because they had it like that. It was easier to finesse that internationally.
That's crazy.
So, you know, you would definitely see privilege and how people got ahead just because they were in a certain position, but it wouldn't be like straight up in your face, as you know that documentary put it. Like, you wouldn't know who these kids are, but I'm sure like they were in that school as well.
It's crazy, man. It's insane. Like, there's a lot of, and to relate that to the outside world, a lot of people look at unfairness, right? They say, okay, hey, there are certain people in this world that just get certain things because of who they are or who their parents are, and it's like dwelling on that a lot sometimes can get us really just like, you know, just lose focus and lose sight of our own goals, our own accomplishments, and our own paths. And too many people, you know, often like listening to this podcast, I want them to understand that, hey, you choose and dictate your own path. You control your destiny. It's up to you to be where you are and to end up, right? And granted, we all don't start off at the same, you know, line, right? But, you know, we all have the same goal in mind, right? Of to reach financial freedom and financial independence. But ultimately, it's just making sure that you take from and figure out who is in your groups, who are people who you can relate with that can connect you to those people, and just be hungry to seeking information, because now the playing field, we believe, is level with the amount of information and internet that's out there in this world. Information is in abundance. Like, the company you work for really made it easy to be able to see like you can make a post, and you know, it's easy. Like, information is now, we live in an information age, so it's just so important to remember that in your mind, to say like, you know, like, look at you, you're a kid that came from nothing, ended up where, you know, accomplished his dream. So
That's super crazy how, you know, everybody, it's a even playing field now to a certain extent, right? But all right, so let's go on. Now you see everything's in college. So like, how'd you get the job at like Facebook?
Yeah, so man, that became easy. Like once I got an internship at Facebook, the thing is that in the job world, once you get,
because isn't Facebook's like one of the top companies to work for?
Facebook,
It's everybody's
right. So when you're in an Ivy League school, what happens is like your main goal is to land a top firm. And the way it happens is there's 3 industries. It's like finance, consulting, and tech. Those are 3 industries that you want to get into. And then within those industries, there's like 3 companies in each industry that are the best. Okay. So what happens, and not just in these top industries, but let's say the Fortune 500. Once you have one of these names on your resume, it just gets so much easier to get your foot in the door to get another job, right? So once I had Facebook on my resume as a sophomore, every single place that I applied to pretty much that following year, was interested and gave me an interview. And I interviewed, I can't remember at this point, man, I interviewed like at LinkedIn, Microsoft. I already have Facebook, but at that point I was working in their like marketing department. So I was working the place that helps companies run their ads. Yeah, that's where I learned about Facebook ads. And
shout out to ads.
Yes, but I didn't want to be in that space. For me, like I'm interested in technology and getting in the weeds with the technology. So I wanted to be involved with like development and the product at Facebook, not necessarily like the marketing aspect of it. So I wanted to make that switch, and pretty much like right now, like it's changed a bit where we are today, but at that point, like you had to be an engineer pretty much to go into tech at that point. So I was like, man, like I'm not an engineer. Like, you know, I don't want to go back to Facebook and work that job because I want to like level up. And then I ended up interning at eBay that summer as a product manager intern. And
how did you get that internship?
Yeah, so
because eBay's pretty big too.
Yeah, so one of the things that I haven't talked about is like, as I'm going through college, you know, I'm trying to apply to things that aren't just jobs, but also programs, fellowships, all these different organizations that, again, have a similar mission to LITA, but like at the college level. So one of the organizations that I was part of is called Management Leadership for Tomorrow, MLT, which everyone should apply. The MLT is for people of color. So entrepreneurs or college students they don't care about your income at this point. So if you're a student of color
and you're in college, this could be community college.
Yeah, it can be community college. Yeah,
wow.
I think you apply your sophomore year. Yeah, you apply your sophomore year of college.
MLT. Make sure y'all apply to this.
Management Leadership for Tomorrow. Yeah.
Management Leadership for Tomorrow. Make sure y'all Google that.
So in this program, what they try to do, it's a boot camp to get elite internships, right? Into the Fortune 500, we can say. Which there's a lot of, you know, underrepresentation of people of color. It's a very white world. So I applied to this program, and I already had, you know, my internship at Facebook. So I was like, man, like, okay, let me try to see what I can do. And eBay was one of the companies that MLT partnered with. And what they would do is they would fly us out, like all expenses paid. I think it was like 3 times a year to these seminars. And they would bring all the students that were part of this group. And then it was essentially like a bunch of companies that were there. And your job was to like network with these companies. You know, your goal was to get an internship. Your goal was to get a job with them by the end of your college career. So eBay was one of those companies that was there. And, you know, I walked into the room that eBay was in. And the director of program management was there. And I just went up to her, gave her my resume, told her a little bit about myself. And at that point, I was working on an e-commerce website. Okay. We were selling like to college students. So I had some stuff on my resume as well. And then I told her what I wanted to do. I told her, hey, look, I worked at Facebook. I do this on the side. I really want to get more into product and learn about that. And right off the bat, she was really impressed with my profile, and like she straight up just offered me an internship right there
on the spot.
Yeah, on the spot, you know.
So you were bold. You just went up to her.
Yeah.
But like that didn't happen by luck though. You had to go up to her and go talk with her.
Yeah,
you know?
and I had these things on my resume too. You know, I just didn't go up with like nothing.
Nothing
like,
in their
ask
hand.
her what are your top biggest strengths or some vague question. You know, I had my stuff in check.
You have you had your T's lined up, and a lot of people just won't go up to somebody and approach because of the fear. Like, oh, this person, like she works at she's the product manager. I have to go to her gatekeeper. You just went up to her, like,
you have to be shameless, I think, in some of these spaces, because like no one is going to give you these things. You know, you have to go
don't just come. Yeah, you're right.
So, you know, and honestly, like I didn't think of that much about it in the time. Like, this is what I like. I love networking. Like, I love going into these spaces and just like talking to people, because I'm confident in myself, and like I genuinely like meeting other people and connecting, and there's always some common ground that we can find. So I was never scared to go to talk to anyone. I was always like seeking all these conversations, and at the time it was just like one other conversation. I didn't know what was gonna end up from that. And honestly, I had the conversation. She offered me internship, and I honestly didn't believe it. I was like, okay, like
it sounded too good to be true.
It sounded too good to be true. And then I remember like a few weeks later, I got a call from her, and she was like, yep, like, here we go, here's your offer letter. I was finishing up my junior year, and she was like, you're gonna get an apartment in San Jose, California.
They paid for that?
Yeah, all paid. She said you're gonna get. I remember I was getting paid the internship $50 an hour.
$50 an hour as a what? As a junior?
Yeah, as a junior.
Yo,
with a brand new apartment.
That's
crazy.
that's the most money I'd made at that point in my life.
You were just like, you couldn't, because you were thinking you were gonna get like $25 an hour, like a regular
you know,
internship.
because I remember. Yeah, let me just tell you guys what I was making. So at Facebook, if I can recall, I was making around like $18 or $17 an hour, or maybe it was 20. It may have been 20. It may have been a little bit closer to 20. I can't remember. But at that time as well, like, that was great, because like before that, the last job is the job that we worked at together. We worked at Target together. Yeah, and I was getting paid, I think, like $8.75 an hour or something like
jump.
that.
Yeah.
So to me, I was happy, very happy that I got Facebook wage. But then when I got to eBay, it was just like, whoa, like, you know, I'm making more than my parents. I'm making more than my sister, who
this is
graduated.
Crazy. It's the most money.
Yeah, and
in college too. That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, so, you know, I got that off of a conversation pretty much in my resume.
So be bold. Just go up to people.
That's
don't
crazy.
Take the risk.
$50 an hour.
Yep.
That's pretty good. A lot of people don't get $50 an hour right out of college.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, that's good. And she was impressed with something you did at Princeton, an e-commerce store.
Yeah.
You know, we're in the e-commerce space. So let's dig into that. What was that about?
So I told you that I learned about ads, right, at Facebook. And that summer that I was interning at Facebook, I actually wanted to start a delivery company. And we built an e-commerce store to like facilitate the delivery, right? Because we wanted to deliver to college students on campus. And I didn't really understand that I was building the e-commerce store at that point.
Yeah.
But I was running ads, and my ad system, like, I remember I just watched a few like YouTube videos, and I learned how to do ads, and then I just did it. And they gave us also a little budget at Facebook to spend on ads. So I remember that summer, it was me and my friend. We made like 4 racks in sales in like a month.
You were like, we onto something.
Yeah, we onto something. Yeah. But we didn't really understand what we were doing at that point, because we were trying to build a delivery company. Because what I saw was that delivery was changing, and at that point, like, we weren't as knowledgeable in the space. We didn't know, how to fund the company, how to continue growing, and it got very difficult because delivery is a big headache.
Yeah, delivery is a
lot of
logistics.
It's a headache.
It's crazy.
So we gave up on that vision, but I continued with e-commerce because I was like, okay, this is very scalable. Like this, I can do this anywhere. And we worked on that. I started dipping my toes into like Alibaba and selling on Amazon. So at that point, she's very
I know the product you sold. Tell them the product. It was actually a smart product.
Yeah, at that point I was selling tapestries. Tapestries.
Think about how many college students have the tapestry up, especially girls. Like, I think almost every girl has it up in their dorm. So there was a crazy demand on campus, you see, and you were upselling them with the little clips. Remember the little clips you were upselling them? I was like, this store is gonna go crazy.
Yeah, because Because the thing in Amazon is there's so much competition, right?
It's
very you got a big market, but a lot of competition. So you have to differentiate yourself in one way or not.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've actually been removed from the Amazon space because I wanted to work more on the project that I'm working on now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the value add was that you could just hang it up right away. Like you could just put these clips on and you could hang it up without having to like put holes in your wall or like any of this other stuff.
And how did you reach so many college students? Because you were reaching Princeton. There were some people from Yale, right? You were reaching all the colleges.
I mean,
what was this exact
it's just
strategy?
marketing, man. Like just marketing, just like ads.
Mm-hmm. You were just targeting college students?
Yeah. In the beginning, we just started with Princeton, so that was very easy.
Okay.
It was just targeting people who went to Princeton, and then building. Oh man, we had lookalike audiences with the emails, man. We were doing it.
That's awesome though, but a lot of people don't really understand
the power
of advertising. The ability for you to just target whoever you want to choose, who to market is just crazy. And your company at Facebook just made a powerful platform, and it just changed our life, changed your life, changed all of our lives, and a whole bunch of people all over the world.
Well, that's the thing about Facebook, right? Almost everybody in the world is like
has access to it.
Everybody is on it, and they have exact details of like on all of us. They know exactly what we search for. They know what we
Some
like.
Weird stuff we can predict.
Bro, the predictions is crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy, and it's good for us, advertisers is good because I know exactly what you want. I know exactly how to get to you. I know exactly what you want at what time and all these important things. So that's crazy that you started an e-commerce store, and she was impressed with that.
Yeah.
Because you started your own thing on the side. She was like, "Oh,
right.
Okay, that's dope."
Guys, you heard that e-commerce will change your life.
Yeah. Perfect. So let's move on to next. So you got the internship. You finished the internship, then your senior year is when you started applying to Facebook. So let's get into that.
Yeah, so again, man, that part was pretty easy. I at that point, so I interned at eBay, and I loved my role, my experience there, but eBay is at a different point in their trajectory than Facebook. So eBay is a mature corporation. They've been around since like 1990 something.
Yeah.
So they've been around for more than 20 years, right? Facebook, I believe, was in 2007, 8,
5 or
something around there, like mid 2000s that they got off. So Facebook is just a more forward thinking company, younger environment, just like newer, more like the culture is much different. eBay was more corporate, like more what you like still tech, corporate still America. Like all these perks that you have in tech, but still more corporate. I felt more like that there's less creativity going on at eBay.
You had to be more on your toes.
Yeah, and I mean, like we see this from our end too. Like, who shops at eBay? You guys shop at eBay?
Not anymore.
Exactly.
Really,
Who shops at eBay? So they got a problem, right? They got to run. They've been jumping billions of dollars to solve this problem. They can't get it right. Yeah. And I remember the interns there, like we were like, "Yo, you gotta do this." We had the ideas, and like no one was listening to us. So I was like, "All right, like eBay's not where I want to work at." And I was like, "Okay, like I really enjoyed my experience at Facebook." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go at Facebook." I applied, interviewed, flew out to Menlo Park, and then got the job. Like it was a pretty, by that point, like my resume was very powerful. I had interned at 2 tech companies. I had I didn't even put my GPA on my resume. I had good grades, but that wasn't even like considering not just my resume, my experiences, where I worked at, what I was doing on the side, like. Had a good resume, so it was very easy to land interviews for me. I interviewed again at a bunch of places senior year, and then I decided, Facebook is where I wanted to be at.
No, the company culture at Facebook's crazy. We actually came and
visited
you. Bro,
the village.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. They give you like all you can eat, like meals. They give you
multiple restaurants.
It was crazy. It was like a little town inside of.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So you're working there, and you started to start your own side venture. So let's get into that transition and how like that happened. And now you're running your own e-commerce platform in Ecuador. And it's doing really well. So.
Right. So basically, like at that point, I was graduating. I had been working on Amazon. I had done a little bit of e-commerce, Shopify e-commerce. And one of the things that I realized is that, like, going back to motivation, like, I actually like wasn't as motivated to sell on Amazon because like I always like working on things that have like a greater purpose or like some sort of vision, something, you know, that I can see myself like really like gaining something more than money, right? Okay. And one of the dreams I also had was to go back to my country and have businesses there. And I remember I took a trip to Hong Kong after college, and it was specifically to go visit factories in China. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting in my room one day, and I was like, man, like, you know, dream is to be in Ecuador. Like, how do I get there? And I was just like, I have to do this now. Like, if that's truly what I want to do, like, I have to focus on that stuff. Yeah. And I can't be doing all these other things on the side because like they're gonna distract me. So I was like, okay, like let me change my plan. And then I did some research. I knew I wanted to do e-com because e-commerce, one, it's still growing like crazy in the US. Yeah. Where we have all the infrastructure, all the shipping, all the payments. Mm-hmm. Ready for that to happen, but in Latin America,
it's not built out, right?
And parts of Africa, parts of Latin America, it's not as built up as our ecosystems here. So I knew that there was opportunity there, and I wanted to combine what I knew with e-commerce with something that was working in that country. So I started digging around looking for data, and I realized that electronics are one of the largest imports in Ecuador and Latin America generally, but also on a global scale. Like certain countries are the ones that produce electronics. Exactly. A large percent comes out of Shenzhen, China. Right? It's one of the biggest electronics. Taiwan is also another big player in that space. Semiconductors, what powers most electronics in the world. Probably. Anything that has any processing to it, you need a semiconductor. Only a few countries produce these things. So that means all these other countries have to import into their country to get these products, right? And the demand still exists, although like, you know, they may be at a lower income comparatively to another country, the demand is still there. So I realized that, like, yeah, electronics were one of the biggest imports in Latin America and Ecuador, and that's what I decided to focus on. I made a bet on that, and then I just started getting the ball rolling, how I was going to do that. So I started importing things, and then now I have a store, physical store. So right now I do a mix. I still am like e-com first, so my goal is to get people to order on my website, but because I explained that, you know, we're still in an early stage in e-commerce, trust isn't as strong here. So I sell high ticket items. I sell the newest iPhones. And people aren't just going to drop, you know, a band online without knowing where this is coming from, without ensuring that they're not going to get a broken phone, a used phone, without knowing that they're going to get like a blocked phone. There's a lot of scams happening right now in Latin America and several parts of the world where people are scamming, not sending you what you ordered for. It's worse in Ecuador. So right now, in the short term, we're trying to really build our client base close to the store until we start scaling a little bit more into other cities and start figuring out how we can convince people to order high ticket items from our store directly without having to go through our store, or without having to like call us and like ask us a ton of questions. Like, we want someone to just order on the spot, and we do overnight shipping, like 1 day shipping. Like, you order with us today and you get your stuff tomorrow. So that's like what we're trying to bank on. And I mean, it's an uphill battle right now because everyone down there is like, e-com is growing heavily, but in low ticket items, very, very cheap things that people don't have a big fear of losing $10 to $20. You know, they have a fear of losing it, but not as much as $1,000. To put this into context, minimum wage in Ecuador is $400 a month.
Wow. That's like, so the phone is like almost 2 months worth of.
More than 2 months, because that's $800. Our phones cost, right now, our most expensive one is $1.4K. So,
that's like almost a couple months.
So you're doing a large markup on the phone.
So, well, there's a lot of tariffs that we have to pay. So I think downside with importing is you have a lot of upfront costs for you to get something into the country before you even sell it.
Pay the taxes.
You have to go through the government.
Yeah,
the government wants its cut. So that's one of the downfalls or bad things. But yeah,
even
right now,
if you do just e-commerce, would they still want?
Yeah, even you can't import. There's certain limits on what you can import. So as an Ecuadorian citizen who's only living there in Ecuador, you can only like buy, let's say, off of Amazon, a certain amount of money each year. So I think it's $1,600. You can't spend more than $1,600 on online sales.
Wow.
Directly. So you can't go on Amazon and be like, yo, ship this to me to Ecuador, more than $1,600. And you can only buy one phone like that
a year.
Yeah, you can only buy
one. So there's a large market to really take over.
Exactly. And the other thing is that it takes a long time. If you order something from the US, like it's gonna take like a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on what it is. If you're trying to order the PS5, like good luck. You're not getting that at a good price at all. Like, but you can't even ship the PS5 like that. Like,
but you figured out a way to get it down there.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And right now we're working on both ends. So right now we're building the like high ticket item, but we're trying to also get into the low ticket item value as well. So right now, actually, I have a shipment coming in from China that should land in the next few weeks of phone holders, car holders.
Yeah, I remember that was crazy.
So still in similar cell phone market, but a much lower price.
It's an upsell ticket.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily an upsell, but it sells on itself, but it's just cheap. So that's what we found that is very viral, but also prone to be ordered online. Like, people are fine with just being like, hey, I want this. Like, okay, like, send it to me. Here's my address. Boom, we send it to them. Like, very easy. So there's like 2 fronts right now that we're working on as we're building the business. And we've only had the store for a few months. So we're still like very, very early in the journey.
That's awesome. Yeah. So e-commerce is one thing that you've been really just tapping into, and like your home country has always been your dream to tap into that. That's awesome. So what do you see next? Do you see yourself growing that? Do you see yourself like, eventually leaving? Like what are your goals next?
Yeah. So my goal really my goal has always been to be business full time. Okay. I remember I had when I was like 5 years old, maybe 7, I had the realization that I remember I started thinking about what are the highest paying jobs. And the first thing that came to mind, doctor, lawyer. At that point, I don't think tech was even a thing. Wow. Tech wasn't a thing until we got into middle school, right?
Middle school, yeah.
So my job didn't even exist at that point. So I realized that you get capped in your salary. And the biggest scam in entrepreneurship and just business in the world is that employees' salaries are constant.
Always constant.
They don't rise, but your revenue and profit grows exponentially. So if you can cap your costs as that you're paying your employees and they aren't growing at an exponential rate, you every year are growing the money you're getting in more and more and more while continuing to pay your employees the same.
100%.
So I knew for me to be a millionaire, there's no chance that I was gonna be working a job and getting there. It's possible. I mean, if you're willing to work 40 years, 30 years in that company, make your way up to director, all that stuff, 20 years, you maybe do it. But I just never considered this as something that I was working long term on job. So right now my goal, I see e-commerce as a big opportunity.
It's growing
in Ecuador. However, what I would love to do, I work on this business with my sister. So me and my sister partner and work on it side by side. Right now, she's newer to the business world, so she's learned a lot through this experience. But right now, she's at a point where she pretty much understands, I'd say, like 90% of the business. Okay. Right? So my goal is to leave her the e-commerce business. Once it's like scaling up and we have our money coming in and getting reinvested in a quick manner, I really want to focus my time into technology, into software, into digital business. Yeah. I don't. So one of the things with e-commerce, it's like, it's not really a digital business. It's semi-digital. You're still moving physical products around the world, right? And when you move something that's physical, like the amount of problems that you can encounter are tenfold compared to a digital product, right? You know, you guys know this, selling your e-com business is different than your course business, right?
100%.
Right? So this is something that I've realized, and you know, I told you guys my passion, something I'm really interested in, is technology. You know, I know how to program. I know how machine learning works. I know several different things in this world that I want to apply. And the same thing, it's the same story in the developing world with e-commerce, you know? So software is lagging everywhere in the developing world. They have
really bad.
Yeah, they're not like totally clueless about software. Like there's been some people who, you know, got ahead of the curve, like had some experience and built software, but a lot of the software that's used in Ecuador specifically, and my assumption is a lot of the developing world, are legacy systems. So they're still using software that was built in the 90s. For example, for me to import products into Ecuador, I have to register my phones with the government. They use a software that South Korea developed in like the early 90s, and they basically got that software, transformed it, and put like Ecuador's name on it, but it's still that same, like, think about like old like AOL like dial-up software. You know how like the buttons look, they look all, that's how it is. So I see a lot of opportunity in this space, and I'm already, you know, there's, you know, one of the things that we haven't talked about is I'm a big crypto fanatic, blockchain. So one of my goals is to begin developing blockchain technology as well. There's a lot of crazy innovative ideas that are coming out of this world. We're very early. We're not even talking about investing in Bitcoin. You know, that's a whole different topic. But the actual technology that's powering things. You know, one of the coolest things that I heard or recently about, or I found out, is these things called this network or tokens called Helium. You know, maybe people have heard it, investing Helium, But what Helium does is it basically turns Wi-Fi open source. So right now, internet, we have to get internet from, you know, cell phone towers, or we have to get our own internet at our homes, or get the Wi-Fi password from some store. Helium is just allowing people to set up their own Wi-Fi spots. They get paid when people use the Wi-Fi, and they build a decentralized network of Wi-Fi spots all over the country. So it's like a hotspot. You know how Minneapolis has like Wi-Fi, Minneapolis Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. It sucks. It sucks. Yeah, imagine that, but like good, and like anywhere you go in the U.S.
And you'll pay for it?
You can pay for the Wi-Fi, and you're able to get the Wi-Fi. And at the same time, on the other end, you get rewarded for powering the Wi-Fi. So that's just an example of like how decentralized networks. So like no one's going to be able to shut off that Wi-Fi, because you have to literally go into everyone's house and be like, yo, give me your router that you're powering. Like, you can't, it's not like
Ecuador doesn't have that at all.
Ecuador doesn't have that. There's a lot. The U.S. doesn't even have that right now, because it's barely, it's in infancy. But that's just an example of like technologies, of blockchain technologies. That's the IoT revolution that we're talking about right now. In that space, and that's really where I want to make my bets on. I believe in technology as a foundation of growth. So that's where I got my eyes set on next. High technology in Latin America.
That's what's up, man.
That's super dope. So in terms of your store, right? Right now is a physical store, but it's also, you know, it has some perks to it, because your inventory is there. You know, you have a sales guy there. The trust is there. Some people could come and they just buy. So, so it's still bringing lots of sales through that way, you know, because it's like Amazon. You're pretty much developing because you sell lots of different products. Cause they don't have Amazon down there, right?
No, they don't have.
So Amazon. You're pretty much building like the Amazon infrastructure down there.
I wouldn't say necessarily I'm building Amazon. I'm just building an e-commerce store, but So I feel like people generally make a hard cutoff as like I'm e-com or I'm retail, right? And if I'm retail, I only have one store, and retail, brick and mortar. A lot of people say brick and mortar is dead, right? However, that's not completely true. Retail brick and mortar is pretty much dead. If you're doing retail and you just have brick and mortar, like you're probably like doing a lot of things wrong. So there's a lot of stores, right, that as COVID hit, they're brick and mortar, but they've been able, like restaurants, for example, they were able to go online very quickly. However, from my point of view, I see, like you mentioned, a lot of value in brick and mortar, especially for my products in Latin America.
Especially because trust is the biggest thing.
Right, trust is the biggest thing. But also there's a lot of different things that I get out of the store because, my employees there, I have like a base for inventory. I have a place to do photos. I have a place to do marketing from. There's Wi-Fi there. It's just like a little hub for the operation to go on. I'm trying to keep my retail space at a minimum. I don't want a lot of retail space.
You want to grow the e-commerce.
Yeah, I want to grow the e-com channel. However, I'm not afraid to use retail space as well because there's value in there. However, I'm not just going to, make a retail only industry, but I'm not also going to make an online only industry in this sector because it's very particular. So that's the thing. I think there's value in both, and some people will tell you, brick and mortar is dead. That may be the case for retail in the U.S.
But the U.S. is much different over there because in Ecuador, I'm pretty sure they're used to going shopping physically all the time.
Malls,
they never
malls are
the shopping behavior isn't there to scroll online. Right now people in America, they're doing all their shopping online, so it's normal to spend that money on an online store. There's people, it was crazy what was the average e-commerce spend the average family spends online every single month because it's normalized, right? You see a nice t-shirt, you're gonna order it, you know,
and you have the trust that pretty much, like right now I'm not really afraid of getting scammed online or buying something. Like I can tell when there's it's like a drop shipping store or something, like if I click on that, but I generally don't be buying those products. So like I don't know, are you guys scared of getting scammed online? Like I don't think that's a fear.
Generally, it's not a fear because the thing is we're heavy into the e-commerce space, so I shop online a lot just to see like what they're doing, what's the process, how fast is their shipping, how could I improve. I learn a lot from shopping online, and I apply that to my business, right? And that's really one of the things that helped us grow a lot because you can't just not shop online and just be online. It doesn't work like that. So I shop online often and I trust it, and that's with America. We kind of, and I give big credits to Amazon because I think Amazon's the person that
gave the most trust.
Yeah, they trained the human mind to normalize buying online
without worry.
Without worry. Amazon actually might be the person. Jeff Bezos probably the person that's responsible for shifting the human behavior.
eBay didn't do that. eBay, you were scared, and you're still scared. You're still scared of getting scammed on
eBay. Because the bids.
And just getting scammed on eBay. Like you don't know what's gonna come out of eBay.
Yeah, and that's the bad thing that eBay didn't protect. They were just letting sellers do everything and anything. And Amazon is so strict.
Right.
Like you breathe the wrong way, they might shut you down, because they're so customer focused. So the scamming level is minimum. Like Amazon, no one's gonna get away. You scam maybe one person, then
and they'll give you your money back.
Yeah, and they'll pay you your money back.
They'll make
right?
sure,
So Amazon done a great job for all of us e-commerce, and I think we got to give credit when it's due to where it's much easier for us to now. Someone that shops on Amazon often is probably going to buy one of our products online when they see the ad. Right? So that's the good thing. And in Ecuador, it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, it hasn't. Like to some extent, it's growing. Definitely, the pandemic shifted consumer taste and consumer behavior, but nowhere near. The infrastructure is just not set up. Like people, there's one company that does shipping, the majority of the shipping. It's very good, so that's not our issue right now. But right now, you can't really leave your inventory in a warehouse and have them fulfill your products, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of this is good and bad, depending on how you look at it. Because from my point of view, I also see a lot of e-commerce tooling that needs to be developed for Ecuador, right? A lot of, because anything basic things, for example, payment processors. You can't use an international payment processor in Ecuador because you get a tax on that from the government for sending your money outside of the country. So there's a lot of just different tooling and different products that exist here that we are so accustomed and we take it for granted, to be honest, that don't exist. So from my point of view, e-commerce is it's its own thing, but then the infrastructure that needs to be set up for e-commerce to really
thrive
is you know, is a big opportunity for a lot of people. And you know, I hope to be involved in that space. That's why I'm saying, like, you know, I agree with, you should have a job if you don't know what you're doing and you've never started. You know, you need to pay your bills.
Yeah. You need.
But right now, for me, there's just so much opportunity and so much work to be done that like I just can't. I'm reaching the point where I'm like, okay, I have to automate my income right now so that like I can leave my job. And I'm getting closer to this point. I hope to be at this point by the end of summer. That's my goal right now. You know,
but the
I'm
good
putting
thing
out
is,
this podcast right now so that everyone
we'll hold you
knows.
accountable.
Hold me accountable.
But check this out though. Check this out, right? The good thing is you gotta, like, your job, you get paid pretty well, right?
Yeah, I get paid well.
But you're stacking. You're not like spending crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm using part of the money I'm using to fund my business, so that's a big expense.
That's a big expense.
But I don't have a car. I had a car here. Sold it. I don't own a car. I don't own. You know, I don't really buy luxury things. I bought one Gucci bag when I got my signing bonus from Facebook. I had to do it. It was a horrible feeling after I bought it. Well, it's just crazy, you know. But I don't
have too many liabilities.
Yeah, I don't have too many liabilities right now, and I'm trying to shift away from that. One of the big plays that I'm trying to, you know, make for myself right now in the next few months is to get an income producing property. So right now, one of my biggest expenses month to month is my rent.
You're right.
Right. If I'm able to get a house and rent X% of that house out, right now I'm looking at a 4-unit house, which is still considered a house. It's not a commercial property. And automate, you know, at least if I can automate 50% of my rent, if I can get that low, I think that I would have no problem paying that, you know, month to month as I'm working on the dream. So that's really the goal, to get that out of the way. But, you know, what got me to be able to make that decision is my job, because, you know, houses aren't cheap. Are not cheap. So, you know, I was able to save up, which that's the point that you're making. You know, it's allowing me, you know, you need money. And if you don't got it, you got to get it some way. I'm fortunate enough to have a good paying job that's giving me the money, but also skills.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like, you know, if your goal is to be a millionaire, and you have that in your mind, you're dreaming about it, and you see yourself becoming a millionaire in 5-10 years, but you're thinking about working a job in 5 or 10 years, like, you can kiss your dream goodbye, because like, you are not going to become a millionaire in a job. You need to leave at some point, right? So prepare yourself for that. But you basically, a job is in direct conflict with your dream, having a business and your dream. Like, you can't, it can't, it's not doable. Like, you know, think about all the companies that we know right now. Like, there are very few people who actually were doing what I'm doing. You know, working full time. Like, we go, like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college to do full time. Jeff Bezos, he graduated college. He actually went to Princeton. Shout out Jeff Bezos. But he left Princeton. I think he
finished or he didn't?
Yeah, he finished. So Jeff Bezos actually had a pretty good career outside of college. He went to an investment firm, I believe.
He was making a lot of money.
Yeah, so he was making a lot of money. But he stacked, and then he left. You know, you it's just like, it doesn't happen where you can build a multi-billion-dollar company while you have a job. Like, it's not gonna happen.
But you need the money, so you gotta start stacking, right? You gotta live below. If you're making $100,000 a year, live like you're making $40,000 a year. If you're making $50,000 a year, live like you're making $15,000 a year. You know, so it's like living below your means is super important.
Don't flex. And don't buy a car if you can't afford it.
100%.
Don't buy liabilities. Wow, that's super important, man. And we went deep today. We talked about a lot of stuff. Appreciate you for coming on the podcast. Where could the people follow you?
Yeah, I mean, right now you can look me up on Instagram. just my first name, last name. That's probably the platform that I get the most visibility on in terms of like what I'm active. But that's actually a space that I'm trying to build up right now, my personal brand. I haven't been, because I have so many things that I'm juggling.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get my personal brand like all good. So that's a project that I'm coming on. Trying to get the website, trying to get all the content I've been making on there. But yeah, I'd say Instagram's probably the best place to hit me up.
Yeah, we gotta help you with the personal brand, bro.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Go
Make
follow
sure
my
you
guy
guys,
Louis
Carchi on Instagram. Make sure you guys go check him out. If you have any questions about Ivy League school, if you have questions about getting your dream job, or starting a side business while working your job, my brother here has done it all. So make sure you guys go reach out, ask any questions. This is episode 41 of the Top Figure Podcast, where we give you endless keys to open endless doors, and we bring the top people to show you guys. This is Top Figure. We're out.
Yes, sir.
Peace out.